And when the people say they have attained, what have they attained? How do you know?
You also said there's some timeless eternity.
Ah, I have said it, sir. Don't believe it.
That's not fair.
It's not fair, I know. It's not quite fair. But, sir, just listen. Sir, truth is that it's something you cannot experience. It cannot be told to you. Word is not that. But if you live on words, it's that. You understand? The word is not that. Like the word tree is not the tree. I can describe eternity, blah, blah, blah. But the word is not that. But we are satisfied with the word. Right, sir?
Then another thing that bothers us is time. Most people nowadays say, I have no time. Of course you don't. Because you are not aware of the present. You know, the present is represented on your watch by a hairline that is as thin as possible as is consistent with visibility. And so everybody thinks the present is instead of now, the present is the only real time. There is no past, and there isn't a future. And there never will be. We think ordinarily of the present as an infinitesimal point at which the future changes into the past.
If you transcend your physical nature, there is no such thing as time. There is, in India, in this culture, we have a word called Trikalagnani. That means one who knows past, present and future. This does not mean he's time traveling. That is what these Hollywood movies, which misunderstand everything logically and literally. So why I'm saying this is, they're always trying to understand everything factually, literally. When we said there is a Trikalagnani, they said, oh, there is somebody who goes into past, present and future. See, this moment is eternity, I want you to know. It's question of, are you living in the surface or do you have a profound experience of what's now? What you think is past, what you think is future, or what you think is now, is all one happening. They are not three different happenings. They are not three different dimensions or three different geographical spaces that you can go into and come back.
The questioner asked, in your talks you have said, death is total annihilation. And also you have said, there is immortality, a state of timeless existence. Can one live in that state? That is the question. First of all, I said, please listen, I did not use the word annihilation. I've said death is an ending, right? Like ending attachment. When you end something, like attachment, something totally new begins, right? This is obvious. When I have been accustomed to anger all my life, or greed, aggression, I end it. There is something totally new happens. Right? If you have done it. I have followed my Guru with all the gadgets he has given me. And I realized the absurdity of it. I end it. See what happens. There is a sense of freedom. The burden which I have been carrying uselessly. I said, death is like ending an attachment. And also, we said, what is it that has continued through life? Do you understand my question? We put death in opposition to living. Right? Is it so? We have put it. We say death is at the end. That end may be 10 years or 50 years or after tomorrow. I hope it will be 10 years for you. But this is our illusion, this is our desire, and this is our momentum. It is like asking how to face death. You follow what I'm saying? I say you cannot understand that, how to face death, without understanding of facing living. Death is not the opposite of living. I wonder if you understand all this. Shall we go into this? You want me to go into all this? You aren't tired? I'm surprised. I think the much more important question is not how to face death. What is immortality? Whether that immortality is a state in which one can live. What is much more important is how to face life. How to understand this terrible thing called living. If we don't understand that, not verbally, not intellectually, but living it, finding out what it means to live. Because we have, to us, living as we are is meaningless. Whether you are a disciple with all the jewels and all the rest of it, it has no meaning. Going to the office from day to day for the rest of the next 50 years, slaving away, going to church, doing, all this. What is the meaning of all this? You may give meaning to life, as people do. Say life is this, life must be that. But without all these romantic, illusory, idealistic nonsense, life is this: our daily sorrow, competition, despair, depression, agony, with shadows of occasional flash of beauty, love. That's our life. Can we face that? Understand it so completely that we have no conflict in life. That is to die to everything that thought has built. I want you to understand this. Thought has built my vanity. Thought has said, you must be this. Thought has said, you're much cleverer than the other. Thought has said, achieve, become somebody. Struggle, compete, like the Olympics. That's what thought has put together, which is my existence, your existence. Our gods, our churches, our gurus, our rituals, our changing names into Indian names, all that is the activity of thought. And thought, as we said, is a movement of memory, experience, knowledge. Which is our experience brings certain knowledge stored up in the brain as memory, and responding, that memory is the movement of thought. This is so if you observe it. So thought is a material process. Right? So thought has made this. My life is that. I am different from you. I must achieve. You follow? And when thought predominates our life, as it does, then thought denies love. Right? So love is not a remembrance. Love is not an experience. Love is not desire or pleasure. No, you'd say, you'll agree with this, but so that's our life. And living that way, we have separated this thing called death, which is an ending, and we are frightened of that. If and when we deny everything in oneself that thought has created, end it. You understand what I'm saying? This requires tremendous grit, not all the nonsensical romance. Your attachments, your hopes, your vanities, your sense of importance, all that is to become When that becoming completely ends, what have you? You are with death, aren't you? So living is life. And so renewal. Oh, you don't understand all this. Do it and you'll find out. But we are trained to be individuals. Me and you. My ego and your ego. Is that a fact? Or we are the entire humanity? Because we go through what every human being goes through. Sexual appetites, indulgence, sorrow, great hope, fear, anxiety, and immense sense of loneliness. That's what each one of us has. That's our life. So, we are the entire humanity. We're not individuals. We like to think we are. We are not. You may be clever at writing a book, but that doesn't make you an individual. You have a gift. But when you have a gift to write or sing or dance, whatever it is, that gift is translated as my gift. And when you accept that as your gift, vanity, all the circus round it begins. So when there is a life in which there is no center as me, and therefore life is walking hand in hand with death. And therefore out of that sense of ending totally, time has come to an end. Naturally. But time is movement. Movement means thought. Thought is time. And when you say, do I live in that eternity? Then you don't understand. You can't. You see what we have done? I want to live in eternity. I want to understand immortality, which means I must be part of that. But what are you? A name, a form, and all the things that thought and put together. That's what we actually are. And we cling to that. And death comes through disease, accident, old age. How scared we are. And there's always the priest around the corner telling you to go to heaven. Or if you don't do what he tells you, you go to hell. It's not only the priest around the corner, but the guru around the corner. They're all the same. So can one live a life so completely without a center? And therefore no conflict, And then only that state of mind which is timeless comes into being.
So, therefore, this hope for the future is a hoax. It's a perfect hoax. And maybe we will make spiritual progress. Everybody puts it off. Maybe if I work at yoga for 10 years, 20 years, and do this thing, I will eventually make it to moksha, to nirvana, whatever. That's nothing more than a postponement. It's this business of, because you're not fully alive now, you think maybe someday you will be. Look, supposing I ask you, what did you do yesterday? No, what did I do yesterday? In fact, I've forgotten. So, but most people will say, well, let me see now. Let me get out my notebook. I got up at 7:30 and I brushed my teeth and I read the newspaper over a cup of coffee, and then I looked at the clock and dressed and got in the car and drove downtown and did this and that in the office and so on, and you go on and on and on, and you suddenly discover that what you've described has absolutely nothing to do with what happened. You've described a scraggly, skeletal, fleshless list of abstractions. Whereas if you were actually aware of what went on, you could never describe it. Because nature is multidimensional. Language is linear. Language is scrawny. And therefore, if you identify the world as it is with the way the world is described, it's as if you were trying to eat dollar bills and expect a nutritious diet. Or eat numbers. A lot of people eat numbers. People play the stock market. They're doing nothing but eating numbers. And they're always unhappy. Absolutely miserable. Because they never get anything. So therefore they always hope more is coming. Because they believe that if they eat enough dollar bills, eventually something satisfactory will happen. So eating the abstractions all the time, we want more time. Confucius very wisely said, a man who understands the Tao in the morning may die with content in the evening. Because when you understand, you don't put your hope in time. Time won't solve a thing. So when we enter into the practice of meditation, of yoga, we are doing something radically unlike other human activities. Of course, the way yoga is sold in the United States, like everything else, is that it's supposed to be good for you. It isn't. It has nothing to do with anything that's good for you. It's the one activity which you do for its own sake. And not because it's good for you, not because it will lead anywhere, because you cannot go to the place where you are now, obviously. Yoga is to be completely here and now. That's why the word yog means join. Get with it. Be completely here and now. This is the real meaning of concentration, to be in your center. And the Christian word for sinning in Greek is amatanin, which means to miss the point. And the point is eternal life, which is here and now. Come to your senses. So yoga is defined in Sanskrit, in the Yoga Sutra, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Difficult to translate, but roughly, yoga is the stopping of vritti is turning, see, like a wheel, and chitta is consciousness. Turnings in consciousness. In other words, the attempt of the mind to catch hold of itself, which is what we call thinking, worrying. So we could say loosely, yoga is the cessation of thinking. It's not the cessation of awareness, but of symbolizing, trying to touch reality in terms of thoughts, symbols, descriptions, definitions. Give it up. It's not easy because we do it habitually. But until there is silence of the mind, it is almost impossible to understand eternal life, that is to say, eternal now. If you could come to the place where you suspend conceptions. Conceptions in Sanskrit are called vikalpa. And so this state is called nirvikalpa, not conceptual. And this will be basic to everything I'm going to talk to you about. To understand non-verbal reality, non-conceived reality, what I call suchness, tathata. It's really very easy. It's too easy. That's why it's difficult. But that when you are fully aware and not thinking, you will notice some amazing absences. There is no past. Can you hear anything past, incidentally? Can you hear anything future? They're just not there to the plain sense of one's ears.
So, you want to go into the past or the future. Isn't this the biggest problem in the world? People are time traveling within themselves. They're trying to live what happened 10 days ago, or they're trying to live what may happen day after tomorrow. Time travel is the biggest problem, don't seek it. It's already a great problem. Now, that's not what you're asking. You want to know what happened in the past, or you want to know what will happen tomorrow. When he said, "Mere bare mein kuch bolo," whatever, what he is telling me is, why don't you time travel for me and tell me what will happen tomorrow, okay? Yes, that's all he's asking. So I have to wear my astrological clothes. See, if you transcend your physical nature, there is no such thing as time. There is… In India, in this culture, we have a word called Trikalagnani. That means one who knows past, present and future. This does not mean he's time traveling. That is what these Hollywood movies which misunderstand everything logically and literally. So why I'm saying this is, they're always trying to understand everything factually, literally. When we said there is a Trikala Gnani, they said, oh, there is somebody who goes into past, present and future. See, this moment is eternity, I want you to know. It's question of, are you living in the surface or do you have a profound experience of what's now? What you think is past, what you think is future, or what you think is now, is all one happening. They are not three different happenings. They are not three different dimensions or three different geographical spaces that you can go into and come back. When you use the word travel, it suggests movement, isn't it? I travel from point A to point B. I can't travel from point A to point A, point A to point A, point A to point A. I cannot travel unless I'm making rounds. So right now, when you say past, present and future, you're talking about triple A. You understand? It's AAA, it's not ABC. When we say time, in the yogic perception, which ultimately modern physics will come to someday, hopefully, is time is the basic aspect of creation. Because of time, there is gravity. Because of gravity, everything else. Right now, the problem with modern physics is they have reasonably understood the other forces, they're unable to understand what's gravity. Gravity is a consequence of time. It's not the other way round. Because there is time, there is gravity. The word time itself may not conjure that image in your mind. The Sanskrit word is correct, it's kala. Kala means two things, time and emptiness. Kali, not talking about the Devi. Kali means what? Empty. Kala means darkness, kala means time, and it also means emptiness. If you try to speak with little more personified context, we will call this Shiva. So we are talking about time and emptiness, time and nothingness as the same thing. Because there is time, there is creation. Because what we call as creation exists, there is gravity, because to maintain the integrity of a little bit of physicality in this vast kala, you need some force to hold it together. So, gravity is only when time bends in a certain way. Time which is nothingness, time which is emptiness, takes a curve. When it takes a curve, physical dimension begins. If it doesn't take a curve, physical does not exist. So when we say spiritual process, you're trying to get out of the curve, because whatever curves ultimately will go in circles, isn't it? So because you experience time as a consequence of the curve that it took, you're understanding time as the spin of the planet, as the rotation of the moon and the sun and whatever else. But when we refer to kala, we are talking about time in a more fundamental way, that it is emptiness, it is nothingness, it is clear space is time. We are always… the modern concept is talking about time and space as two different things. We are talking about time and space as one thing. The existential is gravity. The non-existential presence that is there is kala or kali or emptiness or time or whatever you want to call it, or darkness All these things symbolize the same thing. So if somebody travels in time, he's lost his mind. Really. I know, books are written about it. Don't ever believe. Please, I want you to understand. You throw up a new concept. Let's say a scientific community throws up a new concept or philosophically some new concept comes. Instantly, there will be 100 authors in America. First 80 will come from America, next 10 will come from India maybe these days. They will write books about how they experience this concept which may not even exist. Powerful books will be written. And one generation will grow up on that and it will die. Next generation has not even heard about what the books that were popular in 70s and 80s, this generation has not even heard about those things which shaped those people's psyche completely. So this time travel business, this near-death stuff that's going on, these are popular subjects right now. I would advise you write a book. You'll sell well, make money, it's all right. If it's your survival, write something. But if you're seeking, don't bullshit yourself into something and you'll get lost. Don't do time travel, because you cannot do time travel. Time as you know it only exists because of your physical nature. If you really want to know the profoundness of time, if you want to know the kala which holds everything together, which holds everything in its lap, you must distance yourself from your physical nature. Then you know kala, not as three, but three A's superimposed on each other, not A, B, C. So then you will not try to travel, you will dimensional shifts within yourself, not psychological understanding of time. What happened yesterday is one time, what's happening now is another time, what may happen tomorrow is another time, not in that context. They are not three separate things. Actually, what happened yesterday, if you sit here and imagine all that, it'll all happen now, isn't it? Yes? What may happen tomorrow, if you sit here and if you have powerful enough imagination, it'll happen right now. This is why people are suffering something that happened 10 years ago and something that may happen day after tomorrow. Yes, they're enjoying and suffering things which don't exist. So, if you try to do time travel, you will lose your mind and think you're experiencing something. Psychological drama that you create in the form of thought and emotion is not life. It is a badly directed movie.